Have you ever watched dust dance in a beam of sunlight? It moves not by its own force, but by the air around it, and yet, to the dust, it must feel like chaos, so much movement, without direction. This is how most of us live, tossed by invisible winds, reacting to the world, rather than shaping our path within it. But have you noticed, even in a storm, there is a still center, the eye of the hurricane calm, while everything else rages? That place exists within you, a quiet core untouched by the noise. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the clarity to see life as it is, like a lake. Once its surface calms, begins to mirror the sky. When your mind stills, it begins to reflect your truth, not the projections, not the pressures, but what has always been quietly waiting beneath. We live in times where motion is mistaken for progress. We are praised for our busyness, applauded for exhaustion, but directionless movement is not a virtue. It is noise. A lantern swings wildly when gripped by panic. Only in stillness does it light the path. Pause. Listen. Not to the world, but to the silence beneath it. Can you hear it? The breath moving in and out, not forced, not rushed, just there, anchoring you. Each breath is a reminder that life unfolds one moment at a time. The future does not arrive all at once. The past does not bind you unless you cling to it. You are always at the beginning of now. Stillness is not passive. It is a rebellion against chaos. It says, I will not be hurried by fear. I will not be ruled by noise. I will not mistake urgency for importance. And in this sacred pause, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see, not through the lens of anxiety, not through the fog of comparison, but through presence, pure, immediate, intimate presence. Have you noticed how a leaf trembles in the wind? It does not fight the breeze. It dances with it, and yet its roots hold it steady. Stillness gives you roots. It doesn't make you rigid. It makes you grounded, because chaos is not always external. The real storms are the ones we carry inside. Questions without answers, pain without language, longing without shape. But when we sit in stillness, we give shape to the formless. We do not solve the chaos. We listen to it, and in listening, it softens, not because it changes, but because we stop resisting it. Direction does not come from thinking harder. It comes from hearing deeper, and the voice that knows the way has never been loud. It whispers, it nudges, it waits. Stillness is not a place you find. It is the place you return to, like water returning to the ocean, like breath returning to the body. It is home. You've been here before. That feeling, when time slows down, when the world feels full, just because the sky is blue, when you walk without rushing, when you smile without a reason. That is the wisdom of stillness touching you. You don't need to escape your life to find peace. You need to return to it with new eyes, eyes not blurred by urgency, but softened by clarity. Direction is not always forward. Sometimes it is inward, to the center of your being, where truth is not taught, but remembered, where meaning is not manufactured, but revealed. The mind that chases everything finds nothing, but the mind that stays finds everything comes to it. Like a candle in a dark room, it does not move to find what matters. It simply shines, and that is enough. Let go of the idea that clarity must be forced, that answers must arrive like thunder. Sometimes they come like dew, quiet, gentle, slowly appearing at dawn. You were not meant to know everything at once. You were meant to be curious, to walk, to wonder, to feel your way forward, step by step, like mist rolling through a valley. You may not see the path ahead, but clarity is not the whole map. It is the next step, and then the next, and then the next. You don't need more time. You need more presence. You don't need more opinions. You need more silence. You don't need more validation. You need more trust in the still, inner voice that has always been whispering. This way, let it guide you. There is a kind of wisdom that only comes when everything else stops, when the plans fall apart, when the noise becomes too loud, when the roles you've been playing suddenly feel too tight. That discomfort, it's not failure. It's the knocking of a deeper truth. It's your soul asking you to sit down, to listen, to stop performing long enough to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Stillness doesn't just bring peace, it brings remembering, like a mirror wiping itself clean after years of fog. You begin to recognize yourself, not the curated self, not the efficient self, but the one who feels deeply, dreams quietly, walks slowly. This world rewards speed, but your soul rewards depth, and the two do not often meet on the same path. So you must choose. Will you be everything to everyone, or will you be someone to yourself? Stillness will not shout over your busyness. It will wait until you are tired. It will wait until your strategies stop working. It will wait until success feels hollow. Then it will whisper, "Are you ready now?" And if you are, it will unfold like a garden long neglected, overgrown. Yes, but full of life, waiting to be tended. In the stillness, you will not find perfection. You will find truth. And truth is not always comfortable, but it is always clean, like spring water, cold, but cleansing, honest, but healing. The stories you've told yourself, that you're behind, that you're not enough, that you must keep moving or be forgotten, begin to unravel in the silence because they were never yours to begin with. Who were you before urgency became your identity? Who were you when you still had time to gaze at the moon? It is not too late to return. There is a road back to clarity, but it does not look like the roads they draw on maps. It looks like sitting beneath a tree with no agenda. It looks like breathing without watching the clock. It looks like noticing how the light falls through your window at 4 p. Oh, direction is not found in pressure to act. It is revealed in the permission to be. You are not lost. You are simply unlistened to. And when you begin to listen, not to the world, but to the soft murmur beneath your ribs, you realize stillness was never empty. It was always full of the parts of you that got left behind. When you started running, pick them up gently, the dreams you buried, the needs you ignored, the joy you postponed. Stillness makes space for their return, because silence is not absence, it is the presence of everything real. Do not fear pausing. The river does not rush to reach the ocean. It curves, it rests, it takes its time, and still it arrives. So will you. Clarity is not something you chase. It is something you clear the way for, like clouds parting, not because the sky demands it, but because the sun has always been patient. There is no shame in being slow. There is no shame in being soft. There is no shame in being unsure. There is only the invitation. Be here as you are, and let the path appear. When the world asks you to be louder, become quieter. When it demands more, desire less. When it says now, whisper not yet. That is the beginning of clarity, not the rush to move, but the wisdom to wait. And when you wait long enough, you'll hear it. The pulse of purpose beneath the panic, the thread of meaning inside the mess, the compass that doesn't point north, but inward. Follow that. Not with force, not with fire, but with the faith that what is meant for you does not require panic to be reached. It only requires presence. Stillness is not the opposite of movement. It is the movement that matters, the movement that begins within, the movement that doesn't drain you, but roots you. Because when you move from stillness, you don't just act, you align, and alignment is clarity. Not because everything is certain, but because you are centered. You begin to walk not with fear, but with trust, not with pressure, but with peace. The storm may still rage around you, but the storm is not you. You are the I, the calm, the quiet knowing that this too shall pass, and that you will remain. You begin to see that clarity is not a destination. It is a way of being, a state of openness where truth does not need to be forced. It simply rises like a lotus emerging from still water, not because it rushed, but because the time was right. And so much of your suffering comes not from the not knowing, but from the need to know too soon. You grip the future like a rope in a storm, as if the holding will protect you from the waves. But what if you let go? What if you trusted that the ocean carries not just crashes? What if uncertainty isn't a threat, but a teacher? Because in not knowing, you become teachable. In pausing, you become receptive. And in stillness, the wisdom of the world begins to seep into your bones. Have you ever noticed how the bamboo bends with the wind? It does not resist, it allows, and because it allows, it does not break. Stillness teaches you that strength is not stiffness, it is surrender, not giving up, but giving in to the rhythm of things, to the truth that life cannot be controlled, only participated in. You stop asking, how do I control this? And begin asking, how do I meet this with grace? And that simple shift changes everything, because now, instead of reacting, you're responding. Instead of fighting, you're flowing. Instead of grasping, you're growing, like the tree that does not chase the sun, but stays rooted. And still, the light finds it. This is the paradox. Stillness does not make life smaller, it makes it fuller, because you're finally present enough to notice it. The warmth of tea, the texture of silence, the sound of your own heartbeat when all else is quiet. These are not distractions. They are direction, not to a place, but to a way of living. Stillness invites you into a relationship with the real, not the filtered, not the forced, but the raw, pulsing now. And in that relationship, you begin to feel again not just the highs, but the full spectrum. Sorrow that teaches, longing that clarifies, joy that doesn't need to be explained to be understood. You begin to see that clarity does not come when life is easy. It comes when you're finally willing to feel. When you stop numbing, stop avoiding, stop rushing past the ache, and sit with it. You do not need to heal instantly. You only need to be honest, to say, this hurts, without hiding it behind a smile. To say, I'm lost, without turning it into a performance. To say, I don't know, and let that be holy. Stillness doesn't ask you to fix yourself. It asks you to meet yourself exactly where you are, because the real you, the unperformed you, has never needed fixing, only witnessing, only welcoming, like a guest long forgotten, knocking softly, not demanding anything, just waiting to be let in. And when you open the door, not of your house, but of your heart, you realize the one you were looking for was always you. You've been the compass. You've been the calm. You've been the clarity. It was never somewhere else, never in another place, another person, another path. It has always been within you, beneath the noise, behind the masks, before the striving, the sacred stillness, the quiet home, the unmoving center around which everything else turns. And from that center, your next step becomes clear, not because the world became quieter, but because you did, not because chaos disappeared, but because you no longer identified with it. You are no longer the dust in the sunlight, tossed by every breeze. You are the beam of light itself, unmoved, steady, silent, brilliant. So now, when the world rises, like a tide, full of demands, full of noise, full of shoulds, you don't panic, you breathe, you return to that one quiet space inside you where nothing has ever been missing. You do not need to chase after life. You only need to arrive fully into it. The bird does not sing because it has answers. It sings because it's morning, and you don't need to have it all figured out to feel peace. You only need to be where your feet are, because real direction isn't given in grand declarations. It arrives as a quiet knowing, a subtle pull toward what feels true, toward what feels alive, toward what feels like home. Sometimes the clearest direction comes not from blazing ambition, but from a soft no, a gentle boundary, a moment of stillness that whispers, this isn't right. Not yet, not for me. That whisper, that's you, the real you, the one beneath the performance, the one beyond the role, the one that never rushed. And once you've touched that place, once you've sat in stillness long enough to remember what your own voice sounds like, you begin to live differently. You no longer confuse speed with worth. You no longer mistake movement for meaning. You no longer betray yourself to belong, because you belong to something deeper now. You belong to truth, to presence, to the moment unfolding, not because you force it, but because you allow it. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the fullness of being. And when you choose to be still, in a world that cannot stop moving, you don't fall behind. You rise above. You begin to see with different eyes, eyes that notice grace in ordinary things, eyes that recognize sacredness in silence, eyes that find beauty not in what is done, but in what simply is. And it is from here, from this rooted, quiet, patient place, that you move, not in panic, not in fear, but with reverence, with clarity, with an unshakable sense that even the smallest step taken from stillness is a step in the right direction, because now you are not being pushed by the world. You are being pulled by your soul. And that pull, it never rushes. It waits. It listens. It aligns. It trusts. You are no longer here to prove. You are here to be, to live like the wind through the trees, present, invisible, and free, to love without needing to be needed, to speak without needing to be loud, to walk without needing to be watched. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply arriving again and again into the truth of now. So the next time life feels like chaos, when everything is uncertain and the noise is too much and the road disappears beneath your feet, remember this: you do not need to see the entire path. You only need to return to the place inside where stillness lives and listen, because from chaos to clarity is not a leap, it is a remembering, a soft return, a breath in, out, and with that breath, you begin again